Route to Nova. Partout. Produced by Pacificatoris.
Chapter 2. Nova in the smoking area. Jake reckoned he had never seen her in skirts. She always wore those worn-out jeans that squeezed into her hourglass lower body, as if they were painted onto her like fake tattoos. Boys being boys at that age with hormones kicking in, the guys talked about her very prominent and cushy camel toe, almost every day. The talk in the designated smoking area went something like this. Dude A.
Did you see that fucking camel toe?
Dude B.
Dude, who?
Dude A.
Dude, you know, Nova.
Dude B.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, sure did. She's so hot. I could almost see the crack. Yeah, I just want to. Bang.
He pushed his crotch muscle while making an air motion of yanking his arms. Nova was a transfer student who had transferred in the early weeks of the first semester of the sophomore year. When Jake first saw her in the remedial English class, he was starstruck by her natural beauty, so unusual at that time. The girls of that age wore tons of makeup as if they were the models in the fashion magazines. TVs and the movies featured young actresses with the same makeup of the heavy glamorous looks, which the young girls obviously tried to aspire to. But Nova wore no makeup, at least to Jake's amateur eyes, but the natural beauty of hers made a lasting impression on Jake. And her long flaxen blonde hair, not so saturated in color, almost came down to her hips. It undulated like a pendulum with a slight delay, highlighting her feminine curves as she walked with a bit of a southern swing and sometimes like a fashion model on a catwalk. She must have been lonely in the beginning, but a lot of guys were helpful to her while trying to strike a decent conversation, but most of them struck out with the pitch of Nova's sharp tongue. She naturally osmosed into the clique of girls, loosely called the Parkside High Riders, who usually hung out in the smoking area in the corner of the courtyard in the middle of high school complex. Most of them were graduates of Parkside Junior High School, which was a mile or so away. They were sometimes called PS High Riders for short, as opposed to DC High Riders, who were a motley crew from Daly City Junior High, which was further away. Although there were a few exceptions, these kids were mainly of the so-called Caucasian persuasion, belonging to the lower to upper middle class. The taste of music, seemingly so important to the individual identity as teenagers, the High Riders mainly listened to good old rock, some even venturing into hard or punk rock. Jake was not a smoker per se, but when other matters got into the picture, like weed or alcohol, or girls, he did enjoy smoking as accompanying paraphernalia. But, lately, in the grand scheme of getting closer to Nova, who usually hung out in the smoking area, Jake started to smoke a few per day. Like the natural environment, in which mammals with high levels of testosterone need to get by, the high school was highly territorial. And it would have been very much frowned upon if Jake had just shown up in the smoking area, suddenly, out of the blue moon. Jake knew he needed some sort of device or gimmick to have access to a space of his own in the smoking area, somewhere near Nova.
En route to Nova. Partout. Thank you for your viewership. Produced by Pacificatoris.